afternoon, everyone. I'm sorry for the delays we had here. I'm overjoyed to welcome all of you to the IRA Senate Summit Annual Gathering 2021. Honorable Justice Markandeya Garju, the patron of IRA, Chairman of IRA Indovan Singh Chadda, our guest speaker Sudhindra Kulkarni, who is joining us virtually, Mr. Sanjay Sabru, who unfortunately couldn't join us here, and my beloved co-officers of the IRA Senate. I am delighted to share our happiness from our organization, the Indian Reunification Association. This year marks the IRA's 4th anniversary since its inception. On April 2nd of 2017, in Atlanta, Georgia, Justice Garju proposed the Indo-Pakistan-Bangladesh Reunification Association, the IPBRA, or what now we call the IRA. Hindustan became free. Pakistan had become independent soon after its inception. But man was still slave in both these countries, slave of prejudice, slave of religious fanaticism, slave of barbarity and inhumanity. This was what Sadat Hasan Manto wrote about partition, which the so-called empire that never sets awarded us after leaving their 200 years of imperialist rule, skimming almost 45 trillion American dollars out of our motherland. As most of you would know, the Indian Reunification Association advocates for the peaceful and voluntary reunification of India with what now is Pakistan and Bangladesh. A reunion between the land that separated in 1947 through the partition of our sacred nation. We believe that the partition was a result of hatred artificially indoctrinated by British imperialists to maintain rule over India. This divide and rule policy aimed at separating Hindus, Sikhs and Muslims, and among others who had lived in India peacefully together for centuries after the first war of Indian independence in 1857. The British saw these people of different creeds and castes united to overthrow their tyrannical imperialist rule in India. While many of our freedom fighters understood the British connivance, other Indian politicians fell into the trap of British to divide our country. The effects of the partition of India in 1947 trickled down to this very day, causing the countries of the Indian subcontinent to spend exorbitant amounts of money on their militaries to further their artificial hatred that was created by their colonial rulers. These valuable resources could instead be used to better the lives of our people, our lives, etc. Imperial powers which we aim to overthrow in the past continue to benefit from this partition, with India and Pakistan using large percentages of their budget to purchase weapons from this. A reunited India would come after we, the people of the subcontinent, realized that we were made puppets for the gain of foreign rulers. A united India would emerge as an economic powerhouse on a global scale, with our financial resources being spent on developing our industries and infrastructure rather than on weapons to harm people of the same blood. We live together in harmony, spoke the same languages and share the same homes for over a millennium. We will be ridiculed for being dreamers. However, the great Italian thinker Mazzini was also ridiculed for being a dreamer when he spoke of Italian reunification. His dream became a reality through when Italy was united by Cavour and Garibaldi. West and East Germany were united in 1990 by Bismarck and North and South Vietnam in 1975. It is very possible and achievable dream, my friends. We look alike and breathe a common thread of culture. We have the same massive problems of poverty, unemployment, malnourishment, farmers' distress, lack of proper health care and good education for our masses. The time has now come when the historical swindle called the partition must be exposed and undone. Before 1857, there was no communal problems, and Hindus and Muslims used to live peacefully together like brothers and sisters. Hindus used to join Muslims in celebrating Eid and Muharram, and Muslims used to join Hindus celebrating Holi and Diwali. Muslim Nawabs used to organize Ram Leelas. Tipu Sultan would give annual grants to almost 156 Hindu temples. It was after suppressing the mutiny of 1857, in which the Hindus and Muslims jointly fought against the British, that the imperialist rulers decided that only way to control India was to divide and rule. And thereafter the communal venom was injected by them into our society systematically and repeatedly, year after year, decade after decade, ultimately leading to the partition. Pakistan was created as an Islamic state, but if religion was the basis of a nation, hardly any nation can survive. For almost every nation has several religions. For instance, the United Kingdom has Protestants, Roman Catholics, Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, Jews, Buddhists, and many more. The UK would have partitioned into a dozen countries, and so-called the USA, so would the USA, France, Germany, etc. The idea is absurd, but it was applied by imperialists to our subcontinent. Why was India partitioned by the British? It was partitioned for two reasons. India should not emerge as an industrial giant like China, for it did. With our cheap labor, we would undersell the products of British industry and become its powerful rival. We should remain a big market for our foreign arms industries. That was the second reason. Today, India is the biggest purchaser of foreign arms, spending billions of dollars on it, money which we should be spent on the welfare of our poor people. Our national aim must be to secure our people a high standard of living and decent lives. But for that, we have to make India a highly industrialized country, because that alone can generate the wealth required for the welfare of our people. For that, we must reunite under a secular government which while upholding religious freedom, does not tolerate religious extremism or bigotry and crushes it with an iron hand. Unless we reunite, we will continue to kill our brothers and sisters, thus lives and times. When I meet a Pakistani, I feel no difference from him, and Indians and Pakistanis mix abroad as if partition never happened. Some people say that the partition took place in 1947, and since then much water has flown, and so it's not possible to reunite now. But West and East Germany were united in 1990 after the partition in 1945, and Vietnam, which has too many religions, has reunited in 1975 after a long division. So time is immaterial. Others say that we cannot unite as there is too much hatred between us, but this hatred is artificially created by some vested interest. When Indians go to Pakistan, they are overwhelmed by the love, affection, and hospitality they receive, and same happens when Pakistanis came to India. Some people ask what concrete action should be done for the reunification. The answer is, at present we need only to spread the idea. Once the idea becomes widespread, people will use their creativity and find their ways and means. With that being said, let me inform you that we have incorporated 25 provincial chapters, 7 university chapters, and a couple of overseas chapters for the IRA. I feel elated and privileged to be in the forefront of this organization at a time when it's burgeoning as a movement. Under Justice Kajo's patronage, we have initiated a platform called the Border Peace Forum, which will advocate for peaceful and friendly relationships between these countries in the subcontinent by opening up borders, implementing free trades, issue of work and educational permits, promoting cross-border tourism, etc. Words can't express my gratitude to all of you for being here in between such negative situations arising out of COVID. You have my word. Your commitment and dedication for this noble cause and your invaluable presence here today will be marked in the course of history when our beloved motherland will reunite to prosperity and lead the world. Thank you.